He's played a small-town guy with a very dark past in a history of violence, a fantasy-fictional king in the Lord of the Rings trilogy, and fathers dealing with the challenges of parenting in the apocalypse and in a utopia. Viggo Mortensen's known for bringing psychological complexity to his roles. His latest film, Green Book, scooped 3 Golden Globes. It takes us back to a time of segregation in the US, when a white chauffeur driving a black man was enough to raise more than a few eyebrows.
Yeah.
Some guy called over here, a doctor. He's looking for a driver. You interested?
I am not a medical doctor. I'm a musician. I'm about to embark on a concert tour in the Deep South. What other experience do you have?
Public relations.
Do you foresee any issues in working for a black man?
You in the Deep South, there's gonna be problems.
Viggo Mortensen, hello. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for coming.
Now, in this film, The Green Book, your character, Tony Lip, displays what we might call traits of everyday racism at the beginning of the film.
Definitely.
How did you feel when you read that in the script?
Well, on one level, it's disturbing to see or hear that in a script or in life. But on the other hand, I was glad it was there. And I was glad that that was kept in the final film. The gestures and the words, racist words, of a man, unfortunately typical of that generation, is important to see that so that you can see that in the course of the story he's capable of some kind of evolution. It's not like he becomes Gandhi by the end of the movie, but he shows himself, he shows the character Mahershala Ali plays, Don Shirley, and he shows his family when he returns that he is capable of change. He's capable of listening and evolving, and so it's important that those things be in there in the beginning.
Tell me that don't smell good.
I've never had fried chicken in my life.
You people love the fried chicken.
You have a very narrow assessment of me, Tony.
Yeah, right? I'm good.
You will be interacting with some of the wealthiest people in the country. It is my feeling that your diction could use some finessing.
But why you break my balls?
Because you can do better, Mr. Valalonga.
And the Green Book itself, the object, which is a travel guide, which was a travel guide for African Americans at the time, is illustrative of just how segregated the United States was in 1962. Yeah. Now, that's a period that's been revisited, the twilight years of JFK administration. It's been revisited a lot in cinema. Why do you think it's so compelling?
Well, it was a turning point, you know. It was, on the one hand, it was, you know, post-World War II generation, post-Korean War. The economy was booming, relatively speaking. You know, everything was about progress and, you know, sort of the United States was or seemed to be the center of the world in terms of economy, progress, technology. Everything looked hopeful. But under this, not very far under the surface, society was very unequal. And it wasn't just the way people spoke and behaved, it was institutionalized in laws, as we see in the movie. There were discriminatory laws. You know, depending on the color of your skin, you couldn't eat in any restaurant you wanted. You couldn't stop and fill up your car with, you know, petrol or gasoline anywhere you wanted. You couldn't stay in any hotel. It was, you know, a guide like the Green Book, the Negro Motorist Green Book, as it was called, that we use in our story, was a tool for survival. It wasn't just, you know, like a Michelin guide or something where you're like, oh, where are we going to stay tonight? No, there were only, it was a very slim volume because there were very few places they could stay, certainly down south. And, yeah, it was a tool for survival. It's not so long ago. It's, you know, 56 years ago.
This gentleman says that I'm not permitted to dine here.
I'm afraid not.
How does he smile and shake their hands like that?
Because it takes courage to change people's hearts.
It's easier sometimes looking at something said in a different period to look at your own time. And as some people have pointed out, it's a very good moment for a movie like Green Book to come out. You know, because society in the U.S. and elsewhere, in Europe as well, is very polarized. There's a lot of fear of the other, a fear of immigrants, fear of people who seem and sound different, have different religions, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, I think it's human nature to some degree. I think kids, when they're really small, they play without thinking about the color of your skin, you know, disabilities, different languages. It doesn't matter, they just play. And then they somehow learn, even if they come from a nice humanist family or neighborhood. It seems to be human nature that as you get a little older and go into adolescence, you start to make distinctions. Color of the skin, you know, you see yourself as superior, inferior, or perhaps beside the point entirely. And then, if you're lucky, through some conscious effort as well and exposure to others and being willing, being open to actually listen or look at with your eyes wide open and without judging people who seem very different, then you can hopefully get back to playing nice again like you did as a kid, but in a conscious way, you know. The strength of this movie is that it doesn't hide racist thoughts and actions, but it's made for everyone because it's not an insistence that you think about these things. It's an invitation to think about that among other things in this story. It's a movie that entertains, but at the same time makes you think, you know. And to me, what Peter Farrelly has done with this movie is akin to the best work that Preston Sturges or Frank Capra, if people know anymore who they are, you know, movies that were really entertaining, enjoyable, but that also dealt with serious subjects, problems in society.
Take a good look at the officer you hit. Look at him. He's over there having a grand old time chatting up with his pals, enjoying a nice cup of coffee. And where are you? In here with me, who did nothing. Yet I'm the one who pays the price. I'm the one who's gonna miss the Birmingham show.
Hey, I'm gonna lose a lot of money, too, if you don't play Birmingham.
So that little temper tantrum, was it worth it? You never win with violence, Tony. You only win when you maintain your dignity. Dignity always prevails.
And discussing the film recently, you came under fire for the use of the N-word. You've apologized profusely since, explaining there was a misunderstanding. You were referring to the way language was used in the past to refer to black people.
I wasn't only referring to that, and I also resent the fact that even that has been simplified.
Well, I want to ask you about what you think the outcry says about the way, how the debate is framed today.
I would like to say that how it's been explained, that I was simply saying that word's not used anymore, that's not what I was saying. Okay? What I was saying was that just because people don't say that word anymore, it doesn't mean that they don't still harbor discrimination, racism inside themselves. What I was talking about earlier, that racism, discrimination tends to evolve, changes its vocabulary, its face. But that doesn't mean that it has disappeared and that we always need to be on guard. That's what I was saying, the full context. And one person tweeted, "I said that word," and the room went silent. The room did not go silent, first of all, and there was no context given. And I think that that's regrettable. I think it's a serious thing to throw around. To accuse someone of being racist without giving a context of what they were talking about is not only unfair to me, but I think it's damaging to social discourse. I was, as the people who were in the room know, including Mahershala Ali and Peter Farrelly, the context in which I used the word, which is shocking to people still, especially coming from a white person, was to talk about the need for each generation to continue working because it does not disappear. It's something we always have to be wary of. That's what I was talking about.
Thank you for clearing it up. Going back to previous work in your career, I wanted to ask you a test question now. Do you know what day it is today? It's Noam Chomsky Day, which
yes, it is. It's his birthday, and I have written to my friends who made, the team who made Captain Fantastic, because we celebrated that in the movie, obviously, and this is our special day.
I want to ask you what you've adopted from the Captain Fantastic principles into your own lifestyle.
Well, I had been reading Noam Chomsky for years before we did that movie, so I wasn't unfamiliar with his ideas. But I think Noam Chomsky has many things to say to us, but his insistence that we always examine the true motives behind policies, behind the words and actions of, especially of politicians, is important. Don't take for granted anything that you're being told. Don't take on face value anything that the government tells you. I think in a true democracy, a participatory democracy, people always need to question authority. And that's a healthy thing for a child to do, and for an adult to do, and for any member of society to do. Question authority. Question your own authority.
Viggo Mortensen, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Put this down. Falling in love with you was the easiest thing I've ever done.
Nothing matters to me but you. And every day I'm alive, I'm aware of this. I loved you the day I met you. I love you today, and I will love you the rest of my life. So can I put P.S. Kiss the Kids?
A P.S.
Yeah, like at the end.
That's like clanging a cowbell at the end of Shostakovich's The Seventh.
Right. So that's good.
It's perfect, Tony.
Hi, I'm Lily Rose Depp. Join me on France 24 to watch my interview about my new movie, A Faithful Man. What's up?
Encore on France 24 and France24.com.